Dan Perry here with another C++ tutorial for Dan on Tech. In this video we will continue looking at formatting, and in the last examples we did in the last video, when we did our formatting we had set some decimal points and we saw how we could set our decimal points with a set precision, how that was a persistent command so that it went into effect from the time we set it until we changed it. And we had the example on this couple of lines where we changed the precision just before this number, and when we changed it before that one, that affected the next lines. So remember that the set precision is a persistent command. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what we had done before and I'm going to make a little change to it, in that I'm going to, before I'm going to set my decimal points to 4. So I'm going to have 4 decimal points before the I variable and 2 decimal points before the J variable. And let me go ahead and just get rid of some of this output we already had. And when we, actually I didn't want to get rid of that one, but let's get rid of these. And when we run this now, what you can see is that here again, we've got the precision set on the first variable to 4, the second one to 2, and it carries over to the next lines. Now, I'm going to make one change to this and watch what happens with the output, where in that case they were aligned. If I make this 6 and run it, now the columns are no longer aligned. Before they lined up, now they don't, and that's because when I added 2 more decimal places to this number, what happened is that those 2 additional decimal places moved us past the next tab stop, so on that first line it tabbed over to the next tab stop, and the \T, remember, does a tab stop. So that's not really something we want to be able to do. We want to be able to have better control over the width of the columns. We can do that with a command called setW, or set width. Now the problem with the setW command is it is not persistent, meaning that when you set it, it is in effect only for that next variable or the next output. So if I were to come in here and I were to do the set width, which is set W, and then you give it a width, let's make this first one 15, it only affects the variable, the next variable output, which is the I. And I'm going to get rid of the tab part, and if it were persistent, the next column, the J column, would also be 15 wide. But notice the output. Well, the first number, that's definitely different. Well, that 12.34 whatever, it's over at the right. It's no longer left aligned, and it runs right into the next number. The next line looks the way it did before, still tabbed and with the 2 decimal places, because we had done that set width to 2 decimal places. So the way we need to work with this, 15 was a little wider than I need. Let me make that, I think 11 may work. But what I need to do as well is I need a set W before the J. I need to put a set W here before the J. So now I have a set W command before both the I and J. And the next line would default to the way it is now. Since I've got both the precision and the set W's, let me copy that, paste it so both lines are alike. Well, to make a change in between, let me change the value of, let's say, I to 1.1234.567. I'll leave J as is. And when we run it now, oh, I've got errors. Well, I forgot my semicolon. Let's try that with a semicolon. And now everything lines up. I would have to do something with my headings up here to get them lining properly, but I could easily fix that. But now my numbers still line up with the correct number of decimal places. I had just enough room here for this next line, so everything fit, everything lined up with the 11 width. Now let me show you what happens though in the event a column is not wide enough. So let me change this column to 10 and run it. And notice now when I have numerical data and it won't fit in the column, it just expands the width of the column beyond what we've set it to. So you've got to make sure your columns are wide enough to handle the largest number. Otherwise, you won't get your proper decimal alignment and such. So as long as I've got something wide enough, then it should work. And making them 12, those numbers should fit okay. And they do. So here with the set W command before each column that I want to control the width of, I can format my output along again with the set precision to get the number of decimal places I want and have my output looking nice. Now think about when we did loops, and if we're doing a table through a loop, so each number in that row or each row's different values, using the tabs you may not get everything aligned properly, but adding the set width command will allow us to get everything properly aligned, which is what we want in it. Now one of the things you sometimes need to do is turn off some of these features, and there is an unset to turn off the set F or the set iOS flags command, and that is cout.unset, and then in parentheses you would put what you wanted to unset, such as iOS : fixed. And if you did that, that would turn that off, and you can turn those features on and off as needed. You probably won't do an unset that often, but in case you need it, it is available. Well, thank you for watching this Dan on Tech video. Please subscribe to this playlist so you don't miss future videos. Please check out and subscribe to our other Dan on Tech channel playlists.